My name is Palabo, I'm the radio vagabond, and I'm traveling the world. I just arrived to Abu Dhabi in the UAE, and I've been through immigrations and got the stamp in my passport, and I just stepped outside, and even though it's only 6:30 in the morning, my glasses steamed up when I walked out the door. I think it might get even hotter here. This time I'm not staying at an Airbnb or a hostel. I am staying at a 5-star luxury hotel. Yeah, I got a good rate on it and I thought, well, why not try that? I'm going to be here in Abu Dhabi for 6 days and then off to Dubai. Right now I'm standing in line waiting for a taxi. With around 33 countries already visited before I started my world journey on the 5th of July this year, I had a very detailed plan on where to go when and in which order, and to start out by visiting all the countries in the eastern part of Europe first. But that soon changed. The first 3 countries was, as I planned, Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania, but from there all plans were off. I went to Moldova, Romania, Bulgaria, Macedonia, Serbia, Hungary and Slovakia. And even though there are still many countries in that part of the world that I have yet to see, I decided to change directions and to come back and do them later. I'm still going to visit every single country in the world. I'm only changing the order in which I do so. So this is my first big jump. Before heading to Southeast Asia, I plan to spend 2 weeks in the United Arab Emirates, and first in Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi is the capital of the Emirates and by far the biggest and the richest of the 7 Emirates. The city itself is smaller than Dubai, but they have the most oil here and therefore the most money, even though you can't really call Dubai poor. I met my fellow Dane, Peter Falck. Don't do any Colombo jokes.
Just one more thing.
He's heard them all. And he's one of the many non-emirates who lives and works here in the UAE. In fact, 80% of the people living in the Emirates are expats. Only 20% are locals. Peter moved here 5 years ago and agreed to take me for a drive around the city to tell me more about what kind of place this is. Peter, we are now in your car about to take a ride around the Abu Dhabi area. This is the capital of the Emirates, but what is the difference between Abu Dhabi and Dubai?
The United Arab Emirates consist of 7 emirates, and Abu Dhabi is the biggest, and also it's where the federal government resides in Abu Dhabi. So each emirates have their own government, and then the federal government as well. So here in Abu Dhabi,
can you compare that to like the United States?
Yeah, very much indeed. You know, number plates are different on cars. Rules are different in terms of sometimes visa rules are slightly different. So you can compare. You know, they have the same currency, but they have a lot of like local rules.
But even though Abu Dhabi is the richest place, it's always Dubai that we're talking about. They build the most, even though they build a lot here, but they're more like going crazy in Dubai.
I think it's with regard to, as you say, Abu Dhabi is much richer, has more or less all the oil. So Dubai was forced to, at the very earlier stage, to try to find and create commerce not just based on oil, and that's why we've seen quite a big growth in the Dubai economy much earlier than they did in Abu Dhabi in terms of inviting expats to come and work, and also because it was the federal government as well, so there hadn't been the same. Abu Dhabi is more government work, whereas in Dubai there's much more private enterprise.
Mm-hmm. And when they were building the Burj Khalifa, it was in the beginning was Burj Dubai, but they ran out of money, I hear.
Yeah, I guess that was what happened. I mean, it was the beginning of the financial crisis, and yes, Dubai, I guess you can say they ran out of money, and then Abu Dhabi was kind enough or felt obliged to help them out, and in exchange for that, they renamed Burj Dubai Burj Khalifa.
Yeah, because Khalifa is the head of the country.
Yeah, Sheikh Khalifa is the ruler of Abu Dhabi and the president of the UAE.
Mm. And I hear that is he on life support at the moment?
I mean, I don't know. It's very rare you see him in public. He has been very ill in the past, so
But he's a very beloved figure.
I mean, the ruling family is, I would say, very liked by everybody here, because now when you see how Abu Dhabi and Dubai has evolved, they invest a lot of their money in making sure that the infrastructure works. You know, people, schools, hospitals. The living standard is relatively high, not just for rich people, but for almost everybody. It's quite secure to live around here.
And his story is quite unique as well. I saw some pictures of the place he grew up, even though that was it was okay, but his living standards has gone from almost nothing to you can't even imagine it.
No, but again, the when in the 50s, 60s in the Emirates here, the people were living very simple. It's only in the last 20, 30, 40 years we've seen buildings come across like we see now here. Now this is part of the old town that we're going through, and this is only 30 years old, 20 years old, and it looks like it's been here for a long time. But so yes, initially they were living like Bedouins. They were living in tents. They were having they built forts. There's a very famous fort here in town here. They're kind of rebuilding. So yeah, no, that it was a very simple life at the time, where they didn't have all the modern conveniences that we see today. So it's a huge change. And I met people living here for 20, 30 years, and it's an extraordinary story when they tell how, you know, things were probably 50, 100 years behind the rest of the world.
And you say this is the old town?
Yeah, and the reason why I'm driving through is that you can see all the small shops, all kinds of stuff. And this is, and here you can get a lot of things for a bargain. There are small cafes and so this is a whole totally different commerce you see here compared with the big malls, the huge shopping malls.
How many malls are there? I think
I stopped counting, but I guess in Abu Dhabi, I don't know, maybe 20 or so.
Yeah.
If that, I mean, I stopped counting a long time ago. But I just wanted to show you this, just to see the contrast before we go out on our trip around.
And you say if a few years ago there was a rule that buildings were only to be 20 floors.
Yes, when Sheikh Zayed lived, the father of the nation, he was instrumental in creating the UAE together with the other 7. It was actually 6 emirates to begin with. Then I think it was Ashman that came in a year after. He said in Abu Dhabi, the building laws allowed only 20 floors. But after his death, his son changed that. Yes. So, but it's still, compared with Dubai, it's not as we don't see as many high rises or skyscrapers as in Dubai.
And you live on the 40th floor.
42nd.
42nd floor.
Yeah.
Wow.
Down here, I have some Sri Lankan friends, and their favorite Sri Lankan takeaways down places like here. Here you can find food stalls, and where it doesn't cost. It's very, very cheap here.
It's my first night here in Abu Dhabi, and I've just gone out to see the city after the temperature was sort of bearable to walk around in. And I started out by going to one of these gigantic malls there are here. And what I see is, I think that's what I'm going to see the next couple of weeks here in Abu Dhabi and Dubai. A strange mixture of what's typical Arabic and what's very Western. Like when I was inside this mall, there was a food court with all the traditional KFC, Burger King, McDonald's, Pizza Hut, and a lot of others. Also a couple of local. And I noticed that a lot of the women, they wear scarves. I even saw a few in full burqa. And the guys, they wear traditional white outfit. Sort of a white dress without being a dress. But there was this young guy sitting and eating a burger from Burger King with a nicely trimmed beard and the white outfit, and he wore a cap saying Los Angeles. And I think that's pretty much what it's like here. It's sort of a mixture between the typical Arabic and something that's very westernized.
We're on the way to Yas Island. It started out with they wanted to build a Formula One track.
Yeah, yes, basically they wanted to get Abu Dhabi on the map of the world, so they decided some years back to try to get Formula One in racing here, and in order to do that they had to build a Formula One racetrack, and that they did it in what's called Yas Island. And together with that, they built a lot of other, new residential areas, hotels, Ferrari World, one of the biggest indoor amusement park.
As in indoor amusement park? Oh.
Yes. And water world, shopping center.
Of course,
yeah. IKEA is on Yas Island. So yes, that's it's. And now the residential part is being built as well, so another area where people will move.
And I'm amazed how much green, when we were in your apartment looking down, we saw a lot of green areas, but everywhere it's green and it's all growing in sand.
Absolutely, every most of the green you see, whether being palm trees, lawns, flower beds, all that kind of, it's all planted. And of course it's a huge expense for the Emirates to make sure they're all watered every day. The only thing that's actually real green is what you see now. These are the mangroves.
That's real.
You see to the right and to your left. The mangrove plant is something that kind of grows in salt water. I think it's I'm not really an expert, to be honest, but I think it's one of the few plants that actually can drink salt water. So all this you see right here now is actually the mangroves.
But the rest they have to pump water up from the Gulf and clean out the salt and then
desalination is a huge.
Yeah.
Even drinking water is desalinated seawater.
Yeah.
It requires a lot of energy. Yeah. And that's a life condition here. If they didn't do that,
it would be dry in 2 days.
Yes.
Yeah. When I'm driving to Dubai tomorrow, it's around 180 kilometers, I think, or 140. Will I see green on the way, or am I going to be driving through desert?
There used to be, like, when you drive on the highway, there's no official border between the Emirates, but of course there are signs saying you're not in Dubai, but you didn't really need to see a sign. You just, where the trees stop, that's Dubai starting. So they couldn't afford the same luxury of having all these. So in Dubai, you don't see the same amount, but it's changing because Dubai is going to be hosting Expo 2020.
Yeah.
There's a massive investment going on now.
Yeah.
And now trees are being planted along the highway because that's where a part of the Expo 2020 area is an area in the desert where they're building now just close to the Abu Dhabi border. They're just building Legoland, Bollywood, again I think the biggest indoor amusement park, IMG, and now they're also planting palm trees.
I have a feeling it's going to be huge.
It will be. I mean, I'm not an expert in the economy of scale for hosting an Expo 2020, but they're definitely investing a lot of money in infrastructure, in buildings, residential, a lot of stuff. They're building a new. It's open now. There's a new airport in Dubai. It's going to be the biggest of them all. Yes. So they started the second palm, which they stopped during the financial crisis. Here, by the way, here you see these buses.
Yeah.
And there's a work camp right here, and this is a work camp that has been built because of all the building they're going to do here on Yas Island, the Sadyat Lagoons, the Yas something. So what you'll see
a lot of buses.
Yeah. So here you'll see and they built that work camp only a year ago.
What kind of quality is it?
I've never been there, so I don't know. But as you can see here now, for example, there are a lot of trees. Those trees were not there a year ago.
Oh.
So I mean,
they're building trees putting trees for the work camp. So yeah.
So it can't be that bad. No, sorry. Seriously, I think the conditions are good. I mean, I don't think
it's not like a township in South Africa.
No. I think the quality of the housing is good. I'm sure. I mean, again, I don't know really.
No. You live on the 42nd floor.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I know. No, but I mean, you know, you talk with taxi drivers as well. You can get a lot of information from talking to taxi drivers. They usually live in camps as well. They don't make a lot of money either, and they have to pay for their own accommodation. And they usually live in quarters, maybe 6, 7, 8 people together, I guess.
On the rooftop of this hotel that I'm staying at here in Abu Dhabi, normally it's very quiet up here, and I'm almost the only one here. But today it's Friday, which means the Arabics have their day off, and it's full of families with kids and having a good time up here. Wonderful to see.
Now we're on Yas Island, and we just passed the Ferrari World and a huge roller coaster and a big IKEA, and now we're heading towards the Formula 1 track.
Yes. So now Yas Island here, as I said before, it's becoming quite a big area in terms of recreation, hotels, shopping, with the Formula 1 racing course as well. And again now they're starting building more residential areas, villas, townhouses, and so forth. So again, it's becoming more activity here. When I came 5 years ago, it was very quiet, but now it's really, and as you mentioned before, when I came here first, there's all these roads, infrastructure, and nothing's happening. Now you can see they did a good planning, because of course now when everything starts being built, you need all the roads and parking and everything to support.
Yeah, we drove on a 10-lane road before, and when that was built, there was totally no need for it. But now,
now I mean, you see the traffic, and it's also, for many, it's an easier way to go to Dubai, to use that road as well when coming back from Dubai, rather than going through the whole Abu Dhabi island.
I just left the Marina Mall
I went in there and I noticed in the main square of this mall there was an elevator. It was going 1 floor up, maybe 2 floors up, but I noticed that it could go further up. Then I decided to go into it and push the button that said R for roof. And it just kept going and going and going. And all of a sudden I was outside, still could look out through the windows. And it kept going up and up and up to a cafe on top of a tower. I don't know how far up I went, 50 meters, maybe 60, I'm not sure. Then I had a cup of coffee and went down again into this mall, and that itself was a different experience. All of a sudden I came up to a floor, and up there was a car dealership, a Mercedes luxury car dealership inside the mall. Something I wasn't expecting to see. And a lot of guys in traditional white Emirate clothing. And then I saw 2 guys walking hand in hand, which is a bit more normal here and doesn't mean anything about being gay.
Peter, I think we're talking about a lot in the Western world is the whole how Muslims and non-Muslims live side by side, and that seems to be a problem in most Western countries. But here it seems to work.
Yes, that was one of the probably first observations I did when I moved to Abu Dhabi, that this controversy that we usually see in the Western world, the perception of who's Muslims and how we live together is totally different here. Everybody lives side by side, many different religions. Even the government here built churches for Protestants, Christians, temples. So here there's no controversy living in a society, in a multi-ethnic society, side by side. Where I work, there's probably 70 different nationalities, and there's no criticism of any kind, and people accept that we all here living and working together.
And in the building you're living in,
I mean, there are all kinds of nationalities. Even Emiratis live in the same building, so there are no like in other like in Saudi, for example, where all the Western expat lives in closed compounds. Here, yes, we do have villa compounds where maybe there are more expats than Emiratis, but generally speaking, we all live next door to each other.
When returning to Denmark, if you do that at one point, is that something you're bringing home?
Yes, I mean, for me and also my children and have learned, I think, a lot from having the opportunity to live here, that with the right mindset, it is possible to live together with different backgrounds, different religions, etc., even different culture. There's a lot of different cultural aspects here in Abu Dhabi. The Emirati culture is very different, but you learn to respect it, and they also acknowledge that other people are living here as well. It's just, I would say it's unique. There are a lot of other Middle East countries that don't have that same kind of patience and acceptance. So I think Abu Dhabi and Dubai, in that sense, is very unique in many ways.
Now it's time to pack my bags. Tomorrow I'll get on a bus that'll take me to the city where everything is biggest, best and first. Well, at least that's what I'm going to try to find out. Is Dubai really all they say it is? If you like this podcast, please subscribe and share. It literally means the world to me.
Just one more thing.
No, Lieutenant, there is no just one more thing.
My name is Palabo, and I gotta keep moving.
Goodbye.
See ya.